Hello, creators and explorers. Welcome back. If you are coming back. If you're new, hello. I'm CaprisunCrochet. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you don't know what I do on this channel, I crochet and I talk about astrology. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So today, I'm working on this baby blanket. It's a new stitch that I've never done. It's called a berry stitch, and she's super cute. I wanted to talk to you guys about the planets, obviously, but I realized in planning for this next video that I really wanted to tell you guys some of the basic stuff, some of the more like just the stuff that you don't really think about, you know? I need you guys to know what's going on and why I'm saying the things I'm saying, because there are multiple different forms of astrology, multiple different ways to interpret a birth chart. And so I'm just going to tell you guys the way that I use, the systems I use to interpret my birth chart, and the ways I use to calculate my astrology. The first thing that we need to get out of the way is the system that I use. The system that I use is called the tropical system, the tropical zodiac. It is the Western zodiac. There is sidereal astrology and there is tropical astrology. Sidereal astrology is more based on Indian astrology, which is more traditional astrology, while Western astrology is obviously based in the West, and it is westernized. Moving on. The next thing that I need you guys to know is that we are using the Placidus house system. So this is pretty much just a different mathematical way that astrologers have found to access this birth chart information. I could not perfectly tell you what math the Placidus house system uses. I know that it is based off of your sun sign. Pretty much what that just means is that every birth chart is separated into 360 degrees, it's a circle, and it's split into 12 houses or 12 parts. And each of those 12 houses or 12 parts have 30 degrees in them. The Placidus house system just tells us pretty much what kind of math that we're going to be using in order to figure out where astrologically the planets were at the time of our birth, or at any given time, depending on when you want to look at a birth chart or why you're looking at a birth chart. That's just some of the basic stuff that I wanted you guys to know. If you want to know more information about what the Placidus house system means, I would encourage you to do so. If you would like to learn more about tropical and sidereal astrology, I would also highly encourage that. Just because I'm coming on here and saying I use tropical, I use Placidus, that doesn't mean that you have to use tropical Placidus. You can use sidereal, you can use whole house, you can use Hellenistic. Like, these are just things that I'm saying, okay? And they mean nothing to you, or they could mean something to you. It's up to you. I would like to get into the planets a little bit. So, like I said, I wanted to cover the planets, and the planets that we're going to be covering in this video are the sun and the moon. I personally love the sun and the moon. Something really interesting that happened in Western astrology was that everyone was obsessed with your sun sign. They were like, what's your sun sign? Everyone literally was like reading their horoscopes based off of their sun sign. Little did people know that you're not supposed to read your horoscope based off your sun sign. You're supposed to read it based off of your rising sign. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Your rising sign is your first house cusp. And pretty much what this means is that this is the sign that sits directly in your first house. It doesn't mean that the sign takes up all 30 degrees of that house. It just means that when the start of your first house starts, that sign is there. And that is what indicates your rising sign, and that is what indicates your first house. So if you have Leo in your first house, this first part is for you. Leo is a fixed fire sign, and its planetary ruler is the sun. Now, the sun is the brightest star in our galaxy, so naturally, people with Leo in the first house, they attract a lot of attention. While Leos do have the stereotype that they like attention on them all the time, I don't like to lean into that because I've often found that Leos, they like their alone time, just like any other sign. And I'd actually argue that they often wish they had more alone time. Leos are represented by the lion. They are very prideful, but like not like that. They often have larger friend groups, but they like to keep their friends close, and they tend to be very protective over the people that are close to them. Leo is a fixed fire sign, after all, so that does make sense. If you have Leo in the first house, that can represent someone who has had their light stomped out in childhood, but they're still able to get that back later in life if they're willing to lean into the more creative and carefree side. Leo, it's often associated with the fifth house, and it has ties to childlike wonder. It's that wonder that we often lose as we get older, but Leo encourages us to find the joy and the beauty in life, and they inspire us to be passionate, dream big, and love hard. I love Leos. Leos often also are associated with the father, and depending on where Leo is in your chart and how it's aspected, can influence like how you interpret that for yourself. If you have Leo in your first house, you might also be known to have nice hair or hair that is distinct. That's because the first house can influence your appearance. Leos are really great, and depending on what planets you have in Leo and what house Leo is in your chart and where the sun is in your chart, that can dictate how that Leo energy manifests for you. So for all you Leos out there, I hope that that made you guys feel great because I know that you guys do like to be praised. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like you don't because I know you do. So if you have Cancer in your first house or a Cancer rising, this part is for you. Cancer is a cardinal water sign, and the planetary ruler for Cancer is the moon. And the moon is our little galactical pet that affects the tides of our oceans, and we see it every night, except for on a new moon, of course. And yet, the moon still remains so mysterious. Cancers are known for their magical ways. I personally know so many Cancers who are low-key psychic, like reading my tarot cards to filth and making me cry levels of psychic. So, like, you know it's legit. Cancers also have a stereotype that I don't necessarily agree with. Everyone says Cancers are crybabies, but I just feel like that tells me that you don't know that much about astrology yet. And in my experience, Cancers, like Leos, are very protective over the people that they love. Cancer is another sign that represents a parent. Cancers are the mother and Leo is the father. Cancers are also represented by the crab, so the crybaby stereotype, it does have some merit to it, but like with Leo, it's not that simple. Cancers, they're like crabs. They have a hard shell to the outer world, and they have their claws as their defense mechanism. But if you get close to a Cancer, you will see their inner squishy bits, and they're very soft and sensitive. But just don't make them upset, because like I said, they do have their claws, and they will use them. So just don't make a Cancer upset, okay? Also, if you have Cancer in your first house, you might have like a moon-like shape to your face. You might have like a more round face with bigger eyes. Cancer also rules the chest, so you might have like bigger chest, you know, if that applies to you. Anyways, Cancers are a water sign, and so they are sensitive, but they do have their defense mechanisms, like I said. Depending on where Cancer is in your chart, what placements you have in Cancer, where your moon sign is, that's going to all depend how that Cancer energy manifests for you. Okay, so this is where we finished off for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you will tune in next week. Don't forget, this week we talked about we're using the Placidus system, we're using the tropical zodiac system. We talked about Leo and Cancer and the sun and the moon and what they mean. And next week we're going to be talking about Mercury, and that's Virgo and Gemini rising and what they mean. So make sure you're here to see that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys have a good night, a good day, a good weekend, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Make sure that you're drinking water. And I will see you guys next week.